So our next review is going to get into the idea of writing algebraic expressions. And once again, an expression is a math sentence without an answer to it. Once I add the answer equals to, then I end up with an equation. So right now we're just focused on the expression and what these words mean. And when I talk about the words, I mean we are given several different examples here in our packet on the front side. Now, I gave you access to it on Canvas under the announcements, but I also give you a paper copy where there was a multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, signs, parentheses, and they were all filled with these words that would tell me what to do when I was doing algebra. That'd be something that, if you want to have access to, save it to a thumb drive or actually save the paper copy because you're going to be using those over the next several years. Two key things to understand about this assignment. Number one is what I'm asking you to do. Number one, I'm not asking you to solve any math problems. I'm asking you to create the expression. Therefore, there's not an equal to, there's not a final answer. I need to see that you can take these words and make the math problem that it's talking about. The second thing is to understand what the words are telling you. Okay? Most of them are pretty straightforward. Some of them may get a little confusing, but as long as I'm reading and focusing on it, this should not be anything but an A for every one. So when I look at question 1, it says B divided by 9. That should be pretty straightforward. The words that I need to focus on is the divided by. And so I know I'm going to have division. And then I have to know what order they go in. Well, I have B divided by. So by means it's the second number. Or if I did a division box, it would be the divisor because it's going to be the by on the outside. So the B is going to be first. It's going to be the large number divided by the smaller number. That is my answer. There's 1 point per problem. On 2, C more than 5. Well, more, that just means addition. So I know I'm going to add on that, and what am I going to add? Well, it's more than 5. So I'm going to start with the 5, and I'm going to add the C to it. So the proper way of writing that expression would be 5 plus C. Once again, that's the answer. There's 1 point for this problem. How about 3? 3 decreased by. Well, decrease, that means subtraction. So I know I'm going to subtract for this answer, but how I'm writing it is important. In the same way that the by tells me where to put the 9 on the division, it also tells me where to put the 29 on subtraction. It has to be the second number. So I have to start with D, and I have to subtract 29 from it. That is my answer. And then on 4, I have 8 times G. And times, we know straightforward, that's multiplication. So I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to multiply them together, 8 times G, and show exactly what it's telling me. Now notice I added this one down here, because there are 2 possible ways to show that. I can have the coefficient touching the variable. Once again, a coefficient is a number that's connected to a letter. The variable is the letter. So I can have them touching, and that also tells me 8 times G. Both ways are acceptable. Both ways will get you your 1 point for your assignment. On number 5 then, P is increased by 12. Well, increased is once again also going to be addition. So I know I'm going to be adding, and what am I going to be adding? Well, by something, so that has to go second, therefore P has to be first, increased, adding 2 with a 12. That's my point. 6, the quotient of K and 14, and we should know by now that a quotient is the answer to a division problem. So I know I'm going to be dividing. What am I going to be dividing, or what order? So this is where it's important to understand that when they give you an order like this, K and 14, they have to be in that order with a symbol in between them. So I'm going to have K first, followed by, divided by, the 14. That's my point. Now, I'm still only going to get 1 point for 7 and 1 point for 8. However, it's a little different because I have multiple steps of mathematics in these 2. This says 17 less than the product of 3 and m. So I have to think about what that's saying and make sure I put them in the order. So I have less than, so I know I'm going to be subtracting. Less than what? Well, less than the product of 3 and m. So I know I have a product also, and which is going to go first and which is going to go last. Well, if this is 17 less than, then I know I'm going to have to be subtracting back here in the back. I'm going to have to do math first because I'm going to have to find that product first. So I know my multiplication has to be up front. Then it's just putting the numbers and variables in where they go. So I have a constant of 3 and m. So my product tells me they have to go in this order. So I have 3 times m. And then I'm going to subtract what? Well, there's going to be 17 less than that product. So I'm going to subtract 17. So this would be my 1 point for my answer. Now, there are 2 other ways that I could actually write this problem. I could write it with the 3 and the m touching, just like we did on, I think it was question 4. Okay, so showing them as a variable and a coefficient, that is fine, no problems. I could also use parentheses, which we talked about in the last video with the order of operations. And I would have the multiplication separated with parentheses. That is fine as well. So any of those 3 is counted towards your point because they're all 3 mathematically sound ways of setting it up. So number 8, I would like you to try it on your own. See how you do. Pause the video. Come back to me when you have an answer. So hopefully you have solved for number 8 as I have asked. And as you were looking at it, you saw that there were 2 sets of words that made us know what type of math we were going to do. 2 less than is the first one. So I know I have less than, but less than what? Well, I have less than the quotient. So that's the second one. So when I talk about less than the quotient, I know that my less than, my subtraction, has to go at the back of the math problem. So that means the quotient, once again, quotient is an answer to a division problem, has to be up front. So then I look at how it's set up. It gives me the 2 separated by and, so I know they have to be in that order, and the symbol has to be in between them. So I know I'm going to have d divided by 16. Well, d divided by 16 minus what? Well, 2 less than that, so I know I'm going to just simply take away 2. So this says that I'm going to have 2 less than the quotient of d and 16. Hopefully you got that correct and you figured out this is not a difficult lesson. Should be an A for everyone. Now here's the difference. You're not writing a single equation, or excuse me, a single expression on your assignment. On the back, I've given you the words. On the left with letters, and I've given you the expressions on the right with answer lines. You have to take the correct words, letter, such as A. Maybe it's the 5th one down. I really don't know. I haven't done my answer key yet. But if it's the 5th one down, I'm just going to put an A on the line. There is no math to do on this problem, on these problems. It's just matching them up and knowing which one tells me which should be a 100% for every single person in our class.